Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Stars and Stripes Xfinity Series. It's season 3 for these guys here, and it is gonna be a doozy of a night. 200 laps under the lights here for round number 6 of the season, and I don't know what to expect. I've been hyping this race up as it could be a wreck fest, but a lot of these drivers throughout the week have been trying to work on making sure that they can survive this paperclip course. Martinsville, a very short course. It's all about finding those braking points. Try not to run over the drivers in front of you. Stay patient, and it is going to be crazy. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is going to be Hunter Hayward, and as well as always, in the production chair, going to be Robert Moyer Jr. And Robert is going to do a great job getting all the cameras. Hopefully the replay button is set up and ready to go, because Hunter, it is usually a wreck fest here at Martinsville, but it could clean up based on how much practice these guys have been putting in this week.
Yeah, Sam, like you were telling me, a lot of practice going around with these drivers for definitely just a wreck fest of a track, usually for iRacing leagues anywhere. You know, even in leagues I race on my own, I expect a wreck fest coming into Martinsville. But like you said, a lot of practice laps been put down by these drivers. And it looks like the racing has been cleaning up a little bit more during the practice session, as it's going to be coming up to an end soon. But, you know, anything could happen at Martinsville. It could produce really good racing, or it could produce a wreck fest. We could find out. But, I mean, I would expect probably 6+ cautions here tonight, Sam.
I think last time we were here, Hunter, it was 6 is a nice number, but I think we were here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. I think it was 200 laps, and I think there were almost around 20 for different league broadcasts. If we only get 6 cautions, these guys deserve all the praise, as tonight it is going to be a tough one. It is going to be a marathon, 200 laps. Your braking foot is going to be used up a lot here tonight. But before we get to more racing action to be seen, we got to give huge thanks to all of our sponsors. First up is going to be that of McConey Setup Shop. McConey Setup Shop just joined on board with the Freaky Fast Broadcasting here recently, and I got to say, this shop online giving you setups that can help you just get better racing. And if you want coaching, they have that as well, as you can be working with some of the best in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola series, as you can have help from the champ, that of Zach Novak, or you can get help from his teammate, that of Jimmy Mullis, Ray Hayes, or others. Jimmy Mullis just had a fabulous run back at New Hampshire, and he's hoping to continue on with that momentum. But if you want coaching help, go to www.mcconeysetupshop.com/coaching. It's $25 per hour, but well worth it to help you to get better at iRacing. And also, like we said, setups there at McConey Setup Shop. Use the promo code that will be that of FFB. 10 for 10% off at buying setups at McConey Setup Shop. Also, gotta give thanks to our favorite, been here almost forever it feels like, ButtKicker. ButtKicker, feel what you've been missing. Get yourself a game or two. Instead of hearing sounds, why not feel them? It can help you enhance your racing experience. Lee Tidwell, he has told us many a times on how the Gamer 2 has helped him get better here on iRacing. And use Freaky Fast 20. That's Freaky with 2 E's, Freaky Fast 20 when purchasing. That's our promo code. Get 20% off your Gamer 2. ButtKicker, feel what you've been missing. Less than 2 minutes left in practice, and Hunter, I mean, looking at this course, it's a paperclip shaped course. One of the kind of standpoint racetracks in NASCAR, but here tonight, drivers have a handful. What are some of the things that drivers have to focus on here tonight?
Most importantly is definitely your left foot. It is so crucial to get your braking points right and how long you're on and off the brake for at this track. Turns 1 and 3, you're going to be entering heavy braking and just pulling off the gas all the way till mid-corner, practically rolling the car all the way through the corner and not getting back to the gas until the exit. But you got to watch that right foot as well. You could spin the rear tires and maybe even loop it on exit.
looping off exit, running into someone on the entry. This is going to be a lot of keeping your eyes or surrounded and knowing where you're going to be. We might be seeing some drivers force the issue on these starts, restarts. 1 minute left in practice before qualifying comes up. Qualifying going to be 5 minutes, of 2 laps for the drivers to put down their best time in those 2 laps and try to find themselves up front. Track position, Hunter, seems to be also another important factor here at Martinsville, as the drivers are going to be having themselves 4 sets of tires here tonight, 3 in pit road, but I don't think tires or fuel is really going to be the biggest issue. I think it's got to be that track position, right?
Oh, definitely. Tires don't fall off very much at a track like this, since you're just not on the gas as long as you are at other places to tear up that right front. But like you mentioned, yeah, track position is definitely the most important thing here. Unless your tires are just way too old, then you might get dusted by people behind you on newer sets. But yeah, track position, it's so important to be able to just hold your spot throughout the entire run. It's a very hard track to pass. It's only one groove. I've never really seen much drivers make that outside work unless they're at a tire disadvantage. But, you know, yeah, like you mentioned, I mean, track position is so important, and it might be interesting to see any underdogs get a nice qualifying position here, and maybe they can hold their top spot out for a while during the beginning of this race.
Practice has come to a close. Fastest during practice, looking at the board, it's going to be that of Andrew Medlin, Scott Rickard, as well as Jason Metcalf. Metcalf, kind of a surprise for me to have the speed that he has, but he's been up front every once in a while, and one of those drivers I'm excited to continue to watch throughout the season and see where he goes, as Jason Metcalf comes in 28th in points here this evening. And throughout this season, it's going to be a lot of focusing on who can beat Scott Rickard, who's going to be the favorite coming into this season. He dominated the season 2 when they were racing in the trucks for this league. And that is Scott Rickard. He won in the trucks here at this course. So going to try to defend at Martinsville. But this track, paperclip, a lot of action. Sparks are going to be flying. And also a lot of cheers and heartbreak. Short track racing. We raced just a couple of weeks back at Richmond, one of our other short track races, and those drivers used quite a bit of our overtimes to get that race done, where Scott Rickard won for that team. And we had 16 cautions then. I think at that point, it kind of was a standpoint for the field, recognizing, okay, we got to clean up our racing if we're going to go to Martinsville and race here.
Definitely, especially for a track where one little mistake can take out around half the field. Wrecks here definitely usually turn into a parking lot unless it's just one car spinning, but yeah, it's so important just to get into your pace, hitting your marks, everything around the track, and not making a mistake around everyone. It's definitely a very hard track when you're side by side around somebody racing for a position, but one little mistake, like I mentioned earlier, can cause a huge wreck.
As qualifying still underway, 3 more minutes to go as we're looking at some of the drivers on track. And looking at the field, it's going to be a fun one. Currently top of the board, going to be that of Scott Rickard. And looking at that 0-5, trying to get himself another win on the season. It would be win number 3. But some other drivers he's got to watch out for. Winner from last week at Charlotte, Nick Holland, came out of nowhere after stealing that win away, and some other drivers had some heartbreak like this. The 31 of that going to be of Trey and Trey Campbell, one of the drivers that we're looking to see. That's going to be Trey is going to be one of the drivers to watch out for out here in the 31. Trey Jackson currently 22nd, 23rd, dropping down, but hoping that this second lap will best his time.
And Sam, like you mentioned earlier, oh, look at this. We got a change for the pole right here. Andrew Medlin, number 12, top of the board of the 19.82, about 100th quicker than Scott Rickard. But, I mean, like you mentioned, the 05 right now, really dominant. 68 of Nick Holland has been able to put some pressure on him, but still not as good as the 05 week in and week out. He did get a nice win last week at Charlotte. I unfortunately was not there for, but you know, the 68 is one to look out for week in and week out. He always puts the pressure on the 05. But the same thing, the 12 of Medlin, he's really good at the mile and a half tracks. Let's see how good he is at Martinsville.
Yeah, and with last week, a lot of surprise drivers came out of nowhere to have great finishes for themselves. And some of the other drivers, here is Josh Warner coming out. And for Josh Warner, this is going to be a racetrack for him to hope to have some better days as he's coming in 39th in points. One of the further drop down drivers as this field is actually looking to be the smallest of the season right now with only 32 drivers. Possibly could be loading in as we're still waiting for two more drivers to put their times down. That of Brian Chu, as well as possibly Randy Cornwell might be another driver that can chime in and add to the mix as it looks like this field continues to grow as Chu going to be up to that of 22nd. But it looks like Cornwell going to be an admin, race controlling and making sure everyone is on their P's and Q's here tonight, making sure no one makes any mistakes or gets too aggravated at one another.
You know, Sam, like you mentioned earlier, Martinsville can be an on and off track where it can either be a wreck fest or a really good racetrack. It's really more a pick and choose with how the chemistry of all the drivers around them is. But what do you expect to see tonight at this race for 200 laps, about 100 miles here tonight?
I'm hoping to see patience. That is the key thing. If these drivers can stay patient, get a green flag run of 20 to 25 laps, I would count that as a positive for these drivers. If we find ourselves getting out of control, getting into a lot of wrecks early on, I'm just hoping that everyone can recognize, hey, we got to calm down. As here is our starting grid. Going 10 by 10. It's going to be that of Andrew Medlin getting the pole position to his outside. Going to be that of Scott Rickard as well. Back in row number 2, Timmy McNally having our Charlotte winner of Nick Holland to his outside. That of Jason Metcalf going to be in 5th place with Travis. But Travis, our Las Vegas winner, missed out last week. He's now shown back up. Going to be in 6th place. That of Travis Dart going to be in 7th place with Derek Offerman. Offerman still the only driver this season has finished in the top 10 every race. We'll see if the 20 can continue on with that streak. In 9th place, going to be that of Kyle Boyling, who had a great showing last week at Charlotte. We'll see if he can come back. And Dr. House going to be in 10th position.
11 spots going to go to the 13 of Eric Schwarr, 12 to Brian Chu, 13th to Patrick Hasty, 14th to Brian Lynch, 15th to Michael Watson, that 84 car, 16th to Dylan Grimm, 17th to Ken Campbell, 18th going to Brett Summers, 19th going to go to Aaron Hale in that 4 car, and round out the top 20 is going to go to Mike Lynch.
Then in 21st position, going to be John Dart with Chris Wade. Wade, this is a uncharacteristic low qualifying for the 53, who we usually see in the top 15, top 10. Expecting the 53 to be one of those drivers to charge through the field. Then in 23rd, going to be Josh Warner and Trey Jackson in 24th with another fan favorite. Usually it's going to be Essery, who's going to be in one of our other fan favorites. Another one, Brian Burchett, going to be in 25th position for the 223. Then it's going to be that of George Kovacic as well in 27th, Bill Dart. And then Jason Ricketts going to be in 28th with that of Thomas Velez in 29th. 30th going to be that of Brandon Messick in 31st. Waiting to see if he'll log in. It's the 29 car. Again, Cornwell going to be not a racer to watch out for. It looks like the 29 not in the grid, so he'll have to start on pit road if he logs back into the course. Looks like 30 drivers going to be hitting the track. Before we get green, Hunter, what are some words expecting from this field or anything you're hoping to see from these guys here tonight?
Well, the word you mentioned before, right before qualifying ended, is just patience. That's the most important key for drivers today, is just patience. This is definitely a track where you have to give and take. And it's a one groove track where everybody's going to want to hook that red and white camber on the inside of both corners, so it's definitely going to be interesting. But another thing I want to point out is this top line, I don't know if they're going to get going on this restart, and it might cause some cars to go stacking up, so keep an eye out for that.
Front, Andrew Medlin, he was the fastest during practice this session and qualifying. We'll see if the 12 can carry this momentum all the way through. to try to get himself a win. Trying to get his first win of the season is Andrew Medlin, who's come up second fiddle plenty of times this season. But to his outside, two-time winner this season, Scott Rickard, McNally, Holland, row 2. And in 5th place, it's going to be Metcalf. Green flag in the air, and let's see how many sparks are going to be flying here tonight as they go immediately into row number 1. But already, driver shuffling back behind and already spinning. Caution 1 begins as Mike Lynch spins it around, and Hunter, you saw it.
Yeah, I didn't see much, but I saw the 24 get rear-ended and go straight into the wall. Man, that was quicker than I expected, but, you know, right there, just the top line looked like they stacked up, and they just went from there.
Robert, hopefully you're ready for a lot of replays, as Dr. Alice looked to be one of the drivers that backed up on that one. Oh yeah, it all just jammed up, and the field just goes scattering, as we're going to be seeing here, riding on board with the 2, coming out of turn number 4, getting ready to go green. You're going to see the 18 and everyone just accordion back, which is going to be costing all the drivers. 24 gets into line, and they just all know where to go. Everyone's scattering. 27 contact. Jackson just clips Lynch, and well, that's a Martinsville wreck if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, and all of this before they all took the checkered flag, or the checkered flag. What? But before they took the start-finish line and they crossed it to start the first lap. So, you know, some drivers antsy to get going already before they even cross the line for the first lap. So, you know, I will say that's the first time I've ever seen a wreck before they took the green flag. But, wow, I have no words, Sam.
I mean, sometimes it's safer to get around the first couple of laps pacing so you can get those jitters out, but obviously need a little bit more pacing laps, as that first restart just wasn't it for these guys. But we're hoping these drivers can clean it up, but that's why we've got Cornwell up in the race control, going to be helping each driver out, trying to clarify for any penalties, because everyone knew tonight there was a lot of excitement, because, you know, winning at Martinsville in real life, you're going for grandfather's clock here tonight. It's getting that honor and that little bit of a nudge at someone else, saying, hey, I won at Martinsville, what could have been a destruction derby at times. These cars might turn into a modified looking car with the amount of damage they can get, but still, even if you're heavily damaged, you got a shot to win this thing.
Well, definitely. You know, we've touched on it before in previous races, that aerodynamics is so important with a package like this at cookie cutter tracks or even larger. But, you know, a place like this where you're not on the gas, you're on the gas just as much as you are on the brake pedal. So aerodynamics just aren't as important. It's just the rhythm you have. And, of course, the most RPMs you can get is definitely an advantage. But aerodynamics and the bodywork does not matter. It's just the rhythm you have and how quick you can lap this car around the track.
Driver that is having some internet issues, Thomas Velez, who started in 30th position, is disconnected. We're hoping to see that 67 get back into the lobby, but up front, everyone's pretty much still in their same spots. If you were in the top 10, everyone else behind, they got shaken up just a little bit. No one coming into pit road to get any damage repair, recognizing, hey, got full power, don't need to come in for repairs. Pace car pulls off. Let's try this again. Attempt number 2 at getting this race started. Let's see if we can get a lap done. Medlin, Rickard, our front 2, and green flag in the air. That inside line, though, got extremely jammed up, and ooh, Medlin got to be careful coming up. Almost crossing lines and changing lanes before coming across the line, as they're clean so far, and we hope this continues on.
Yeah, I was going to touch on that, Sam. It looked like the 12 hopped up out of the lane before he took the start-finish line. Now, I don't know if this leak has on the rule book, but right there, that was close. That was a close call for the 12 of Medlin. But right now, it looks like he got a really good jump, but the 05 of Rickard is still there, right there in his mirror, trying to knock at his door and tell him he's still there.
The goal, get everyone single filed up, but they're already spinning behind. That's going to be the 23, Dylan Grimm, going to be stuck in the pit barrels. We stay green, but the 23 has to take a tow.
Wow, that was very interesting there, Sam. Oh my gosh, he's
still stuck. He's not getting out, which is a hazard to the field as they're trying to come out of turn number 2. And Grimm's still trying to get out. He finally is going to take the tow. But luckily, we stay green, but that could have been another quick caution to get us back under pacing. But wow. Got to be careful for Grimm and the rest of the field, but that's going to be putting Grimm. He already put himself 2 laps down, and now he's going to be even more laps down. Looks like he might be thinking about backing out of this race.
Yeah, that was very, very interesting there, Sam. I don't know how that didn't bring out a caution since he was still at the bottom of the track, but, you know, that's another interesting thing I've never seen while a race stays green where a car gets stuck inside the barrels, but, you know, very interesting right now. Looking at the leader, the 12 of Medlin right now, he is about a 10th quicker right now than anyone else on the track right now, a 10th quicker even than the 05 of Rickard. Looks like he's got really good short run pace, but let's see if he can make it stick to the mid and late run.
As we're looking at the field, all single filed out. This is the key. Get everyone singled out until later on in the race when our leader of Medlin catches up to lap traffic. That first car he's going to catch up to is going to be Mike Lynch. And Lynch, he's still heavily damaged. I think he might be low on power based on how slow we're seeing the two running. But everyone else still pretty single filed out, making some passes and moves. Looks like that of Rickett in 22nd position, losing ground. And that one having troubles for himself as being passed by that of Josh Warner.
Yeah, and you touched on it earlier. This is the key. This definitely is when drivers get single filed out, and this is where they start getting into the rhythm. Nobody's really in your way or behind you to mess you up, and you know that's the key at a track like this, where don't focus on anybody else, focus on yourself, and then your pace can make you to be able to pass someone else, and that's the important thing here at Martinsville. And that's why you can see some people get into wrecks here so commonly. It's just they don't have the patience, or they're getting too far ahead of themselves where they had to make up this position and then get into their pace. But really, you got to stick with what you get. You get what you get, and you don't throw a fit. I've been telling that ever since I was little. But you know, that it's a lot of give and take here at Martinsville.
You're watching on YouTube. In the chat, our producers put down a poll for you to choose. How many yellows are we going to be seeing here tonight? You got 0 to 10, 10 to 20, or 20 plus on the caution track. It looks like right now 10 through 20 is leading in the pole position. Dylan Grimm, who we saw get into and stuck in the water barrels, he's been able to get back out. Has used his fast repair early on. But you're not feeling comfortable when you have to use your fast repair in the first 20 laps of a race. It's a long day you got to be worrying about as we're watching the battle for 6th place. Travis Butt, our Las Vegas winner, being challenged by that of Derek Offerman. And I touched on the fact that Offerman's been extremely consistent on getting top 10 finishes. He's finished in the top 10 every race this season as they're getting by a lap car of 2 of Mike Lynch. But got to give credit for the 20. He's got 1 top 5, and just sticking with the consistency, he's 3rd in points because of how consistent he's been.
And consistency will definitely win you a championship, Sam, and that's the most important key out of every race, every weekend, is just make sure that you're consistent week in and week out, and the 20 of Offerman has done it perfectly. Not falling outside of the top 10 every single week so far. We're only 5 races in, but still, that's a pretty big achievement already for 4 weeks in a row. And right now, Sam, look at this. We already have the leader coming up to lap traffic already, and one of those cars is the 53.
Yeah, it is now one of those things where our leader is in a little bit of trouble, because when you are stuck in the lap traffic, these are the drivers you're not used to running around, and their braking points are completely different from yours. You're hoping the lap cars will just get out of the way, just like we saw there. The 21 of Missick and Wade getting out of the way, which Chris Wade, I guess that qualifying sign was true to where he was running, but this is shocking to see the 53 running back in 26th position in my eyes.
Oh, it's very shocking, but also, Sam, look at this. Is the lap traffic has slowed down Medlin a lot. The 05 of Rickard has made up all that time back, and he's almost on his bumper, which is crazy. I mean, that he had almost a whole 1.5 seconds on him, and now he's almost right up on his bumper again. But yeah, the 53 of Wade, I am just as shocked as you. Was really, really good at Vegas and almost a race winner there. Wow, I would never expect him to be way far back here like he is right now, getting lapped about 20 laps into this race. And you know, that's definitely a shocker to see someone who's really consistent week in and week out, and then have maybe just a rough patch.
Yeah, I mean, looking at some of the drivers that we've been seeing on screen, we're now on board with 15. Battling for 12th position is that of Ken Campbell. And Ken Campbell, a lot of these drivers, nighttime racing, bringing out some new racing schemes for themselves. Saw some other drivers trying out some new schemes. I know Brian Lynch, who saw the 24 a little bit earlier on screen, he was rocking a new paint scheme for himself. But for these guys in the middle of the pack, it's really just hit your marks. Would you say, Hunter, when you're racing at Martinsville, it's a lot more of race the track, not really race your competitors around you?
Oh, definitely, and that's the case for any short track, but Martinsville, most definitely. I touched on it earlier. It's just you focus more on the track and your pace than anybody else around you, and that's what can win you a race here. Is just clear everybody out of your mind and just drive the track yourself. Just do what you've been doing at practice days before you've been doing, or before the race, and that wins you the race. And you know, as a driver, short tracks can be just really brutal on you, and you might not have the weekend you want over everybody else, but you know, you just got to have the consistency of hitting your marks, doing the same thing lap in and lap out. And if you do the same thing every single lap, you'll notice that you're better than some people who are struggling in the longer run or struggling in the short run, any of those things. And that's what's so important in a short track like this.
Hats off to this complete field right now. We have been green and running strong for almost 25 laps. This was where I was talking about where drivers, if we can get this long, this is incredible to see. All the practice that these drivers have put in all week long, it has been well worth it. We've been green here for over 25, 26 laps now currently. And I mean, this is one of those things where we get to see this during real life racing. When you're racing leagues, it seems like tempers are a lot more flaring up because drivers are recognizing, hey, there's not a lot of money in the machines that you're driving, so you can be as aggressive as you want. But right now, we are seeing respect, honor on the racetrack, and it is great to see.
Oh, definitely. And all these drivers are doing really well. We have a little bit mixed up with the one car going way up the track, almost in the wall, but he's going to be all right. But, you know, even with the lap traffic right now, they're all staying out of the way. They're racing everybody else clean, even if they're a couple laps down or much slower than everybody else. But right now, yeah, this is really good racing. I'm noticing right now all over the track. This is, like you said, kind of looking like it's racing in real life.
We'll do a quick rundown of our top 15 as drivers still trying to cut their way through traffic. But up front, it's going to be oh no, drivers contact. Got to be careful. Leaders going through, and Grimm involved in that one. Oh no, also looks like John Dart, the other driver, and I'm so sorry I jinxed it.
And don't worry, I did the same, Sam. We both jinxed it.
It's one of those things where you want to praise something on it, as well, it looks like Warner might have been involved, but it looks like this all started with John Dart and Brett Sommers coming to into turn 3 and 4. It's going to be bringing out this incident, but we're going to be seeing the aftermath of how the 23 gets mixed up into this thing. They're already being spun around, and Grimm's going to do his best to try to avoid this carnage, and looks like he's going to just bob and weave and just come to a stop instead of just driving through, which almost got our leader of Medlin mixed into this thing.
It's definitely the scariest thing you can ever see as a driver, is a wreck going on right in front of you. Thankfully, nothing happened with the 12 of Medlin, but it's definitely a thing where you start opening up your eyes a little bit more than you were previously when you were leading, but definitely a scary sight for the drivers that were involved and even the leader.
Big thanks to everyone that's interacting in the chat. Again, we've got the poll. How many yellows are you expecting us to see as Warner comes in, clobbering into Dart, and John Dart didn't want that contact for himself. But we do have 4 people that have already voted in. Currently, still 10 to 20. Cautions is leading how many yellows we're expecting to see here tonight. And if needed, we do have 2 green-white checkers late in the race. If needed, those are overtime green-white checkers. But looks like we only had a couple of drivers coming into pit road. Those that were already a lap down, involved in some wrecks. Leading that group was actually going to be that Jerry Jackson and Brian Lynch. Both those drivers were on the lead lap when they came into pit road, but for Lynch, he is clogging up pit road exit, which is making some drivers that could possibly go a lap down. This is very weird to be seen, and that might be something to look out for, possibly a penalty given to the 24 for blocking the traffic, or maybe pit road exit could have been closed for the 24 there.
Yeah, it looks like the 24 was waiting for the pit exit to open up for him. That was kind of looked like an F1 style pit stop where they see the red light and they just sit there waiting for the green light to turn back on right there. But, you know, yeah, that is something I have never seen before either in a race. So this has been a very interesting start here, Sam, and I'm learning a lot of new things that can happen here in Martinsville.
Oh, absolutely. Coming over the radio was Josh Warner trying to get an explanation of what the heck was going on, and Brian Lynch still has not answered to what exactly happened, but drivers are getting stacked up. We're getting ready to go. It's going to be Andrew Medley and Scott Rickard, as well as Timmy McNally, Nick Holland, Jason Metcalf. Your top five, really nothing has changed there, but once you go further back, sixth on back, you got Travis Button sixth, Derek Offerman in seventh, Dr. House in eighth, Kyle Boyling in ninth, and Travis Starr, your top 10 as the pace car rolls off. Attempt number 3 on the restarts as Medlin gets the green, and there we go, restarting here at Martinsville.
Now, I definitely saw that this time, the 12 of Medlin going way up to the outside line before, about 30 feet before the start-finish line. That was a very noticeably move. I don't know if that is a rulebook, Sam, and we might have to recheck on that one, but all I know is the rulebooks I've raced in real life, that would definitely be a penalty handed out, but right now the 12 of Medlin still got really good pace.
Oh, no, back in 12th, contact made. It's going to be Travis Starr, Mike Watts, contact, and it's going to be clogging up the back behind them. Oh, man, I don't think this truly made someone spin out, but it certainly got that of Dart, Travis Dart, just completely kinked over 45 degrees sideways, and Watts tried to help out, get him straightened up, but it just did not work out. Here's your Freaky Fast broadcasting replay. Look out for the red and yellow 84 machine. He's going to come onto the back bumper of the bar stools to 209. Coming into the corner, just a little bit too hot for that of Watson. A little bit of a dink, and there they go.
Yeah, the 84 had the 9 on his outside. The 209 car looked like he just had a really shallow entry, wanted to be right up on that inside, entering the corner, and that's where the 84 just had nowhere to go either. He had some car on his outside. I don't think he had the time to check up. Really, he was going too fast and unfortunately caused a wreck. But also, heck of a save by that 209. It didn't really look like he spun either. That'll bring in our third caution tonight, though. But, you know, that was definitely a very interesting yellow.
Yeah, I mean, it's because the 209 was so sideways that it brought out the caution. There's a certain degree that with iRacing on how the cautions are going to be thrown. If a car is too far sideways with oncoming traffic, a yellow will be thrown, and that's why we saw that one. Even though he got the help from Watts to straighten himself up, the yellow was already thrown before he was straightened for himself. But man, already quick caution, but I think that's what we're expecting is you know, cautions breeding cautions, where drivers are now, you know, they got that taste of a green flag run, but they got spread out when that green flag run worked out for themselves. When you restack them, a lot of pressure to make sure you figured out your braking zones, and different drivers have different wear times on their tires now. So now it's the question of how well have you conserved your tires and how aggressive are you willing to get with this older rubber into these corners.
You know, and Sam, like you touched on, the tires now a big difference between the leaders and some drivers who came down to taking their tires. At a track like this where we've already had 3 cautions, not a very long run. We had a decently good run here earlier in this race, and that's, you know, I wouldn't say that it's a huge toll on the tires right now. That we've had 2 back-to-back cautions now that help the tires cool down a lot, let the pressures go down, and that creates more grip now again. So, you know, the tire wear at this track after 50 laps is only about 4 or 5% or 5 to 10% on the right front, so I wouldn't expect the drivers who came down and taken those for Mr. Feelgoods to fly through the pack, but some drivers might have an advantage right now.
Yeah, and some of those drivers that have some fresh rubber, back in 18th, Trey Jackson, he took some tires, as well as Aaron Hale. They're going to get some fresh rubber. Brian Lynch, back in 23rd, he's got fresh rubber. And I just looked at the rule book. The lane change prior to the start or finish line is not allowed. So right now, Medlin is really hovering on a very thin line on how he's coming up early, but it's up to the admins on how well they want to be calling this action. Again, our top 5, they've stayed the same. We'll see if anything changes, though, as green flag back out in the air, as it's going to be Andrew Medlin. Once again, he waited this time, and now going to be going into the turn number 1. We're looking good for everyone in our top 5, but side-by-side action for 6th place.
And right now, Offerman's still side-by-side at that 44. He's been consistent week in and week out. I think he's just trying to keep his car in one piece like he's been doing every single week. Right now, still side-by-side with him. Now he's going to be able to clear him. No, he won't. He'll still be side-by-side with him. Right now, I don't think the 20 of Offerman doesn't like seeing what he's seeing right now. I can't speak right now. I'm sorry about that. But the 68 and Nick Holland is also in front of him. He's falling back some, but right now it looks like he's just as consistent right now as the 20 car.
Yeah, and the 20 is doing a great job for himself. Gobbling behind him in the 44. They all get single filed out, and this is exactly what we want to start to see. Is when drivers get single file, that means that we can get on a longer stretch of green flag racing. And coming in after that restart, total of 21 drivers left on the lead lap. The drivers in the back half of the field still getting a little bit dicey from one another. As looking at some of the other drivers out here on track, as we're on board with Brett Sommers. Sommers in the 17, one of the drivers that was caught up in that first wreck of the night before we even got our first lap done. The 17 got some front end damage, and he's lost his back bumper, but showing even with damage, you can run well. Currently 16th for the number 17.
And I'll take you through a lap here right now. And what's going probably through the mind of Sommers right now is coming off of 4, really easy on the gas, kind of treat it like there's an egg between your foot and the gas pedal, really easy, heavy on the brakes going into turn 1. Slowly let off the brakes, now easy into the gas, don't lower it, don't go full throttle, now full throttle, back, heavy on the brakes again, going into 3, let it roll through the corner again, keep letting it roll, slowly get back to the throttle, just slowly into it, now full throttle again, going back into 1, heavy braking again. So on and so forth for the rest of these 150 laps.
Now, Hunter, you've raced a couple of these Martinsville races, and you're trying to get into that rhythm. I mean, it seems like you already have that sense of how to go through these course. How hard is it when you realize that your rhythm's faster than drivers in front of you, and how are you supposed to attack to try to make these passes?
Attacking is so important here by the run you get on the exit of the corner. The run you get on exit is what is going to form that pass, because you're going to try to get on the inside of the car in front of you to be able to pass them, because you'll then have the preferred line going into the next corner. But it's just you have to get to the gas much quicker than the car in front of you does, and that can be a scary thing, because if you get to the gas too quick, then you can loop the car around, and that's what causes wrecks. And that's why you can see some cars spinning on exit at tracks like this, especially where it's flat and it's not much banking, so the wheels don't stick as well and you can't carry as much speed through. But getting into the pace here and knowing you're faster is what helps you form runs and get better, because if you keep staying in the pace you won't get freaked out by getting into the gas too quickly or hitting the brakes too hard or whatever, and that's what forms passes.
Side-by-side action back in 19th position. We're having that of Aaron Hale, Bill Dart, as well as you can throw in the lap car of Brian Lynch into the mix of things as these drivers finally getting themselves cycled through. Bill Dart almost had a shot to have a great finish last week, but kind of been some late incidences. The 77 goal, top 15 finish, I think, for this team, as they've been running decently well, trying to keep themselves in a solid place. A championship run for for Bill's going to be tough as he's back in 34th position, but still, this is only going to be race number 6 of the season. Plenty of time to make a surprise run here late in the regular season as we're getting closer and closer to halfway through the regular season here ourselves. But so far, middle of the pack seems pretty set for the 77. As the forward of Aaron Hale, he's one of those drivers I was surprised hasn't been making a charge forward, but a car that is this of Patrick Hasty, who's probably one of the drivers that I'm most surprised on how well he's running, currently in 13th, but another driver behind him. We weren't sure how fresh tires were going to work. Well, with 40 lap pressure tires, Trey Jackson has moved up from back in 24th position up to 14th here in just 20 laps. Well, yellow going to be waving, and that's Brian Lynch. Spun around coming out of turn number 4, and the field tries to scatter his way around, but 24 has just got to sit there and, makes a little bit of contact. Got to be careful.
Yeah, it looks like 24 has been involved in multiple wrecks today. He's got that whole front end now torn off of that car. Not a pretty sight right now for that 24 car.
Yeah, a little bit clipped there was actually the 67, Thomas Velez. As it looks like cameras did not get that action, but actually looking back at the action, it was around the 13. Might have been the driver that went off course for a second, then came back on track. So we think that this could be the incident here, and I think it is. We're going to be seeing the 24 of Brian Lynch coming in late to this incident, and it's going to be the 13 going off course because he's trying to get by Somers, and going through the grass isn't a great place to be, into the inside wall, and he's going to come bouncing back up, and Bill Dart, he had nowhere to go. He didn't know where the 13 was going, and the driver that gets the worst of it is the 24 of Lynch, as a few of our front runners coming into pit road leading that charge is going to be that of Scott Rickard.
You know, and I kind of like that call there, Sam, because it's been 62 laps out in the track right now. They've had 2 fairly decently long runs, so the fuel's definitely been burning. The tanks have definitely been burned off a little bit, probably about half a tank now. It looks like they're running about 90% in the fuel limit right now, so you could probably make it about 150 laps around this track, but right now I think that was a good call by the 05 of Rickard to take 4 tires of gas.
Seeing Trey Jackson, I think he's been kind of our control car on how well you can cut your way through the field, and he's only moved up 10 positions. Now a lot more because of all the drivers that came into pit road, but when we were under green, only about 10 positions in 20 laps is, I mean, with a 40 lap difference, you touched on it, the tire wear really isn't that drastic, so it seemed like for the 31, it might have been a net gain for himself, as for Trey Jackson currently in 7th place. He started the race off back at 24th. He was running 14th before the yellow. So, I mean, showing that you can get a little bit of an advantage for yourself, but it takes a long time to get through this 30 car field.
Oh, definitely, and that's just it's where the talk of patience comes in again, and hitting your marks like we've touched on earlier. You know you're definitely one of the quickest cars in the track for the 05 of Rickard. Now he's going to be all the way back in the 20th position, and right now it's just actually Scott Rickard is in 10th position, so not too far back for him, but that's still 8 more positions he has to make up to where the spot he was running before this caution came out, and that's where patience comes in, where you got to get around the cars that you've been quicker than this entire race and make sure that you're patient so you don't cause a wreck.
These car lights are off. Drivers get stacked up. Again, a lot of drivers coming into pit road, and we'll give you a quick rundown. Drivers in your top 5, that is going to be Andrew Medlin, Timmy McNally, Travis Butt, Nick Holland, Derek Offerman. Did not come into pit road this time. Coming into pit road 24 laps ago, it's going to be Ken Campbell, Trey Jackson, and then back in 8th place is going to be Aaron Hale, who also came in about 23 laps ago. Eric Schwartz going to be in 9th place. He did not pit. And then Scott Rickard, he's going to be back in 9th place, hoping that he can get himself situated as green flag in the air. But it looks like immediate caution, as there is a little bit of a complication coming up. And this could be one of the scenarios. I know that there's been a little bit of a glitch that has popped up, where if you are given an EOL or a black flag, it could actually give it to you almost every caution. So I think drivers trying to get themselves in the right positions. So they're just going to be a quick caution. And We're waiting to see if there's going to be just extending for 1 lap or more. It's
Yeah,
going
the
to be
pace
2
car
to go.
good.
So we're going to be going this time by just a quick lap to get everyone sorted, which Travis Butt's now stuck in a very awkward spot as he's now in the middle. Everyone now getting lined up, and we'll try this again. Green flag back in the air. It's going to be Andrew Medlin, but McNally into the outside wall early coming out of turn 4.
Yeah, that was interesting. Looks like he got a little bit of wheel spin on getting that jump, and looks like he clipped the wall a little bit. Looks like he doesn't have too bad of damage, and he's going to keep that car straight, but right now the 00 Bud is going to be right up on him.
Major difference on tires, and this could also be a real difference on who is recognized, who's got fresh rubber and who hasn't. But right now, single file out. Going to be all the drivers from about 6th on forward, but a little bit of contact. The 4 of Hale gets pushed up as they're side by side all the way from 8th on back. Oh boy, they are shimmying here. Schwartz, the 13 on the inside. He's a driver that's going to be one of the drivers that's on the older tires. A wall of cars. Also, Hale, he pitted about 27 laps ago, but he's one of those drivers got to be concerned on how well he's going to be working up his reaction. But, oh man, Schwartz able to get by. But still hard racing as we were on board with that of the 84 of Watson. Still side-by-side action, trying to figure out who's going to be in the top 10. Right now it's Hale, but up front, Medlin continues to just pull away as his next competitor that he had to worry about was that of Rickard, who, where's Rickard? He's just dropping, and I've lost him on my telemetry. He's back in 13th outside of the 84.
Yeah, the 05 of Rickard's just been trapped up on that outside behind the 44, who's hit the wall a couple times in these past few laps. You can't really do much on the outside right now as this track is just one groove, and you can't really get the runs that you want on the outside right now. Looks like he's going to make it work around Paul House in the 18, but right now he's still stuck on the outside. Looks like he's going to clear the 18 and get that inside line now. Let's see how quick the 05 can make his spots back up, but right now he's running P12.
Well, and able to get right on the quarter panel of the 4, able to make the pass in front of Scott Rickard. But looking at this field and the way that they are, I mean, maybe the outside line could be a place you want to go. If everyone's running low and they're getting accordioned up outside, hey, you don't got to worry about anyone trying to slow you down. You just got to worry about yourself and being patient on getting back onto the throttle. Of the drivers that pitted most recently, it's the 44 that is right behind this of the driver we're on board. Schwartz, he's got the drivers with fresher tires right on his back bumper, and it is a mess for the 13 as on board with that of Hale. He is just falling back in 13th position, stuck on the outside with much older tires than the rest of the field.
Yeah, and looking back right now, at that 18 at Paul House, it looks like he's got some rear damage right now, but not affecting him too much. He's still keeping up with that 05 of Rickard, who has about 60 laps, fresher tires now. But I mentioned it earlier, Sam. The tire difference here at this track isn't really that large. I mean, you have a car who's 60 laps older tires right now, and he's still keeping up with one of the fastest cars in the track right now.
I missed seeing some of the drivers on how well they were flying through the course. Up to second place, it's going to be Jason Metcalf. He was part of that group that just pitted, and he has somehow snuck his way through the Schwartz and Hall debacle that was blocking a lot of drivers from moving up into the top 10. It was Metcalf, the only driver that has pitted, that was able to cut his way through. He's up to second and running about 2 to 3 tenths faster than our leader. Metcalf's looking for the lead if he continues at this pace.
I spoke too soon, Sam. the 35 of Metcalf is flying right now. Ran a 19.996 last time compared to the leader's 20.264. Almost 3 tenths, now 3 tenths faster than the leader of Medlin. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe tires are a lot faster here when they're 60 laps younger. So, right now the 35 already on the bumper at 12 trying to make that pass.
Yeah, and the other thing to factor in is about half of the field all came in for fresh rubber, but side by side for the lead. Here comes Metcalf, but the caution waves before he can make the pass, I believe. We'll wait and see where they can transition, but it's going to be Eric Schwartz. driver that kind of was the catalyst of our last incident. 13 finds himself looking the wrong way. And driver's trying to get by the driver that is stuck, but I think Metcalf might have been just a nose ahead.
Yeah, it looks like he did. He's going to get the lead after this caution. It was a couple of feet, but man, that was a close call coming on the caution. But right here in the 13, looks like the 44 just entered with too much heat and just came up into the 13. Or no, maybe he came down a little bit into the 44. And man, into the inside wall. Nowhere to go for the 44 either.
I mean, it's just like a ping pong type of scenario there. If we can get an aerial view of that, I think we'll get a better idea of how that wreck went down, because the driver's certainly coming in with a different mindset. You've got the 44 boiling with fresher tires, Schwar on extremely old tires. He hasn't pitted yet. Coming into the corner, 44 boiling, he's trying to stay low, and I mean, both drivers looking for the same scenario, but that's where fresh tires have the advantage. The center off the corner, you could have more grip, and it's just one of those ticky-tacky moments where the 13 gets tapped and gets spun around.
Yeah, and it was just, yeah, it were two drivers just looking for the same real estate right there and came together. And, you know, that's what happened. The 44, unfortunately, had nowhere to go either and got involved in that wreck as well. Was able to keep the car rolling, but unfortunately for the 13, wasn't able to get that car started back up, and unfortunately got to put another lap down, or maybe just one lap down. It looks like he's multiple laps down now, but very unfortunate for that 13 car.
As drivers trying to figure out where they're going to go. More drivers coming to pit lane. Andrew Medlin, also that of McNally, but all coming in this time by, as well as Holland Offerman, as Metcalf stays out. Same goes for Trey Jackson. And Jackson, as well as Hale, they all decided to pit 20 laps ago to try to get an advantage while some of the other drivers were still on the set they started off with. But now we're starting to see the drivers picking and choosing which strategies they want to be on, and this is what a lot of caution laps bring in, is drivers on different sets of tires, different strategies go on. The one driver that is still not pitted all day is Chris Wade, back in 20th position, but he's on the lead lap for the 53. Enough cautions have waved for him to get back, get the lucky dog. We'll see the 53 when he comes into pit road for himself.
It's definitely a very interesting call, especially after being put a lap down by the leaders. It looks like he's just trying to get his lap back the best he can, but, you know, that is a very interesting call. He's up to 20th now, still on the lead lap, but he's around the tail end of the lead lap right now. Going to be interesting how this strategy is going to work out for the 53 of Wade.
Front, it's going to be that of Metcalf, Jackson, Rickard, Paul House, and then Boiling, Watts, Hale, Dart, and Ryan Chu in your top 10. Drivers are getting set, lights are off. And looking at the field right now, driver we know probably is gonna fall back. It's gonna be that of Trey Jackson. If he can get a good launch, he might be able to find himself holding out in the top 5 for quite a long time. Pace car is off, and we wait for the green. Green flag waves, and they're getting a little jumbled up on the outside, but we stay green going into turn number 1.
And all these drivers who took the tires on the previous caution now all the way up in the front, in front of the leaders before this last caution came out. Gonna be interesting at how this. Oh no, they're not.
Oh no, more compiling in, and Chu as well as Hasty, Dart, all scattered on the high line. Ken Campbell is well mixed into this thing, and he just had a sense. As all those drivers were the ones that on very different strategies, and you know, sometimes when you try to go 2-3 wide into corners, it doesn't work out. Here's our Freaky Fast Broadcasting replay, and we're going to be seeing some of these drivers coming into this corner, and it's going to be hot and heavy getting onto the binders, and it just didn't work out for some. It's coming into the corner. You're going to be seeing a little bit of blinky from Butt. He'll be getting out of the way, but the 9 into the grass, comes up, collects Dart and Chu, and into the outside wall, back down into Hale and Grim. Hard contact again. It's just drivers piling into this thing, and it's so hard to woe up in those scenarios because So you're not expecting drivers to be stopped on the high line coming into the middle of the corner.
Oh, definitely not. And I noticed it before they entered the corner that the 9 was coming in a little bit too hot, and I think he noticed it as well, turning to the left and clipping the grass. But unfortunately, the 209 is now an innocent bystander. He was entering the corner in front of the 9, but since the 9 cut the corner a little bit and was into the grass, he also clipped the rear of the 209, sending him around 4 or 5 cars, maybe even 6 involved in that wreck. And that's just very unfortunate, showing how much space you just really have at Martinsville in the corners, and it really isn't that much.
Yeah, it's pretty hard when this track is naturally is a 1-lane course through the corners. You want to get low, close to the rumble strips and close to the grass, but then you want to make your way out of the corner. And when you get drivers that are side by side on these restarts, you got some drivers that just are in spots they want to be in, and those shallow entries been costly. And this is now the second or third time we've seen the grass be a factor. Hunter, I would imagine the grass is not where you want to be.
Oh, definitely not. And in iRacing, when you go into grass, especially with the slick tire that the race cars are driving on, it's pretty much ice, and it kind of takes control of your car, and you pretty much go straight or wherever it wants you to go. And like you noticed for a glimpse of a second with that 9 car, it just went straight into the back of that 209, and the rest of those cars followed them into the wall.
So, looking like Chris Wade going to be in 19th position, and a lot of drivers have just been told, yes, the glitch I was talking about, where the drivers, if you get a penalty, an EOL penalty, a black flag penalty, even if you serve it, it kind of gets reactivated automatically when a yellow waves. And so a lot of drivers have been told to serve the same penalty over and over again. But race admin, that of Cornwell, had to come over the radio saying, hey, if you've already served your penalty, it's kind of going to be an honor system. If you've served it, stay in your position. We'll clear it. We'll make sure you're good once we go green. But just know, hey, if a yellow comes out, you're going to have to try to make sure that is if it's an old penalty, we'll try to reset it. But if it's new, then you got to make sure you serve it. Drivers are getting set. We're green. It's going to be that of Metcalf, Rickard, side by side. And I think this is the best opportunity for Rickard to get up front. And it's nice to see Dr. House up front for a chance being up in our top 3. But it's going to be hard fought battling for our lead position. The 35.
Oh no, the 77 goes around.
Yellow flag waves, and that is in front of the whole entire pack and more for it's a pileup in the grass.
Yeah, the 77 on the outside just got, it looks like, I don't know, a car below him just clipped the rumble strip a little bit and came up into him and caused that wreck. But man, that caused a parking lot.
And they're now going to be finally getting over the rumble strips, which looks like for Hale and for that of Bill Dart, they're going to try to get their positions back. It looks like they will be getting those positions back, but oh man, just Martinsville racing. You never know what's going to come out of some of these wrecks, and just two drivers trying to get in the same spot, and not enough space for either one of them. Caution number 7. So for those that voted for below 0 to 10 cautions, might want to cross your fingers, as we're not even halfway. We already have 7 cautions, and Hunter, I think both you and I know the intensity ramps up after you're done with the first half into the second half, and honestly, that final quarter of the race, it gets even worse.
Oh, definitely, especially with drivers where they know that cautions breed cautions, and when the laps close down more and more, they get more antsy to make up those spots again, and that's where it unfortunately causes more wrecks and incidents to happen. So let's hope some of these drivers out here have the experience of knowing that they still need to stay patient, just like they were at the beginning of the race. I know a lot of these drivers today have had a lot of practice into this race, and that's why they're doing so well. Like the 05 of Rickard, the 35 of Metcalf, who's doing really, really well, the 18 of Dr. House. I mean, all these drivers who we don't usually see up in the top 3 very often, besides 05 of Paul Rickard, of course. But you know, it just shows that how important patience and consistency is here today.
Yeah, I mean, it is extremely important to make sure you stay patient, and For Jason Metcalf, it's not very surprising to see this 35 up front. Richmond is where that of Jason got his first and only top 5 and top 10 finish, which he finished in 3rd place. So trying to carry on that short track prowess that he shown early on in the season 2 weeks ago, and it's been working out for this 35 team, where the strategy kind of fell into his place to where he is now. Driver to watch out for, though, Andrew Medlin. He's back in 7th, those with some of the freshest tires on a course. And a lot of these drivers still have their fast repair. A couple of drivers had to use them early. Dylan Grimm, one of those drivers who's currently 6 laps down. But looking at the field, wondering how well are they going to be able to survive here. Is a lot of short track aggression. Sounds like it's starting to build up. Drivers sound a little bit antsy and a little frustrated about, 1, the glitch that's going on, 2, getting pushed around by some of these drivers. Pace car is off. We've had 7 cautions as we inch closer and closer to halfway. How many more will we get, or will we get none? Metcalf, Dave gives us the green as they come across the line, side by side for the lead.
Really good jump right now for that 35 with Metcalf, and right now he's still having the pressure of the 05 right now for of Paul Rickard and Dr. House as well. But also look at this, Sam, the 84 of Mike Watts now up to 4th place already, really good as well. But now we already have some pressure of the 12 of Medlin behind him.
Yeah, Medlin is one of the few drivers that's in the mingle of our top 5 that's going to be not having that much damage to worry about. But back here for the drivers that are battling for 8th, 9th, and 10th place, we got Offerman able to make the pass for 8th position, trying to get by that of Boiling, and Boiling's hoping he can find space to drop down low and not get himself into any trouble. But still, drivers are inching to try to get by one another. Is the best time to make those passes, but already a driver spun around the 21. Brandon Messick in 22nd position. He's backing up in front of lead traffic, and he'll stop before getting any further out there and gets himself straight. Well, there's your halfway caution. Kind of similar to how we started the race off. Did not finish the first lap under green, and we don't get to finish the halfway lap under green either. As here's your Freaky Fast Broadcasting replay. Going to see the 21 hard racing. Got some drivers that we've already seen make contact before. The 4 of Hale, 77 of Bill Zard, and high is the 1 of Ricketts, and Ricketts comes down, and we've seen the 1 be extremely high. I think it's the first time we've seen him clip somebody, and the 21 hard into Bill Dart. And oh boy, everyone tried to scatter through, but not able to. John Dart gets involved as well. And it looks like Val is able to come to a complete halt, as well as that Barstool's machine. But, drivers, a lot of wrecks. We saw that commercial. We'll be back in just a few. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be back when we go green. Give ourselves a little bit of time to rest as we're halfway through the Stars and Stripes Martinsville race. This is race number 6 of the season. We still got 100 laps to go. Dokie. Pace car lights are off. He's now going off into pit road. We've had a couple of cautions here lately, but we're past halfway. Scott Rickard, Jason Medcalf, as well as Watts, House, Medlin, your top 5 as we go green once again. The goal is survive as we are past halfway. The anticipation, it is ramped up on who will make it and survive the end of this thing. We already have one driver racing like he's on a modified. As a little bit of contact going to be made from Watson, that and McNally, and this going and battling for 5th position. But you look at the 68 Green Machine, he's lost his front clip. He's racing like a modified here, Hunter.
Yeah, and he's surprisingly doing a really good job still running in the top 10. He's actually right now in the top 10 spot. You know, I mentioned on it earlier, aerodynamics really isn't that important, and you can tell. I mean, you don't even need a front bumper here at Martinsville, and he's still running with a top 10 car in similar times to the cars around him as well. That's, wow, that is very, very interesting.
It's incredible to see these drivers. As long as you got full power in your engine, you're good to go. Still single filing out for most of our field. Medlin in 4th place, but he'll be trying to set up for a pass here for 3rd. He's kind of our favorite. He was the fastest during practice, got the pole position, was the fastest during qualifying, and now he was leading for most of this race until he had to come into pit road 28 laps ago. Now up to 3rd, Andrew Medlin. He is the driver that is on the radar of our front 2, and he is going to try to charge up to him as Scott Rickard. He's trying to figure out how to get by Jason Medcalf, but Medcalf's given no space for the 05.
And right now, looking at the 13 of Brian, or of Eric Schwarr, excuse me, not Eric Schwarr, sorry, of, oh man, I can't talk right now. The 24 Brett Summers, I can't speak, I'm sorry about that, but he's running in the middle of a lead pack right now. Very interesting. That he's, yeah, I mean, usually as a lap car, you usually see him stay outside of the lead pack, trying to get your laps back. Excuse me, not Brett Summers, the car right in front of Brett Summers, the 24 of Lynch. But, you know, and he's a couple laps down, running with the lead pack right now, like he's racing for position. And, you know, being a lap car before, I know that you don't want to get any X's, because if you get any incident points in front of you, it won't allow you to be the lucky dog, Sam. And that's where you just want to get way as far away as you can from the lead pack without being put a lap down. And very interesting to see that the 24 is right in the middle of that lead pack.
Yeah, I mean, he is running as hard as he can, and the biggest thing for the 24 Brian Lynch is the fact that he is on, oh no, it's going to be that of Josh Warner, and oh, a little bit of contact being made from Kovacic as well with Rickett. It looks like the 47, Josh Warner, going to be the driver bringing out this yellow, but yeah, for Brian Lynch, just to finish off that, looks like for himself, it's one of those things where he's got to be, with that fast repair that he just used, feeling a lot more comfortable. He wants to get aggressive, even though he had a poor showing for himself. As we don't have the trigger for it, but it looked like the 47 kind of looped it all on his own, got on the throttle a little bit too soon, and away he went coming out of turn number 4.
Check this out, Sam. The 05 of Rickard coming down pit road. I don't see any cars following him. Very interesting call for the 05. I know he can make it from here, but I think he's trying to have a tire advantage from everyone in front of him right now.
Yeah, I mean, with this would be him giving himself about a 35 lap advantage over that of Andrew Medlin, and we've seen that advantage be so key, but there's that balance, right, of trying to figure out that you're not backed up in traffic and also making sure that you're got that rubber advantage over the drivers around you.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see where the 05 is going to file out on this restart. He's going to be sitting at the end of pit road for a little bit, waiting for the exit to open. But right now, it looks like he's going to be the tail end of the lead lap. I think he's going to be around 15th to 20th spot here, Sam.
Just climbing his way through all the different competitors and drivers. Again, some drivers, there are some mix-ups that we're going to be seeing that could push us out a little further on these cautions, because drivers trying to make sure they're in the right positions. to go green. There's a mix-up going on with penalties, so drivers trying to make sure they're set up in the right spot. That's why we're seeing the 0-5 kind of on the outside all in its lonesome, because all the drivers on the inside are kind of confused on what position they're supposed to be in exactly. Okay, well, Hunter, looking at the field right now, any big surprises that you're starting to see from this field?
Sorry about that, Sam. My audio cut out there for a second. I could not hear you. That was very interesting. I was listening to the radio a little bit of the drivers right now, and yeah, like you mentioned earlier, admin's still very confused about the glitch that's going on right now with drivers being black flagged and put and given EOLs, even though they haven't done anything these past cautions.
Yeah, if once you get one EOL or black flag of any sorts, it actually will then, every single time a caution flag waves, it is going to give you that EOL penalty or black flag penalty. So that's why we're seeing some drivers getting mixed up, and drivers are trying to get themselves in the right positions. But Hunter, looking out here tonight, is there anyone that you're kind of surprised, or a couple of drivers that you're surprised on how well they've been running here tonight?
Most definitely, I gotta give my shout outs here to the 35 of Jason Metcalf. Came out of nowhere with the fresh tires, a really good call, and now he's leading, and I think he's led the most laps so far. He's gonna have the 12 of Medlin, who also is a really fast car here today, behind him, and also the 18 of Paul House. He's been really quick and showing his strengths here today as well. So top three right now, all really impressive.
So we're going to be extending this caution another time, kind of similar to what we had back, I believe it was caution number 6, restart, where drivers wanted to take off, and then we got reset again. So we'll see if the drivers go green this time by, if we're going to need another lap, as drivers still trying to get themselves in the right position. But up front, we know where our top 10 are. That's going to be Jason Metcalf in first, with that of Andrew Medlin. Paul House going to be in third place with that of Tim McNally, Mike Watts, as well as Trey Jackson on row number 3. Row 4 going to be Ken Campbell, Derek Offerman. Row number 5 going to be that of Nick Holland and Brett Sommers. That's your top 10, as we are hoping to go green, but we're going to delay it another lap.
Yeah, very interesting of how many drivers are mixed up right now. It looks like the 05 of Rickard is going to be starting this restart in 13th, maybe even a little bit farther back behind some drivers. But right now, the 05 of Rickard's got a lot of room, or a lot of space to make up, and around 70 to 80 laps right now. You know, and Sam, he's got the 53 of Christopher Wade in front of him. I don't know if he has, I think he's came down pit road only once today, but 53 Christopher Wade, definitely an interesting call he's been making all day today.
It really is, as it looks like we're finally going green this time by. It's going to be Metcalf pulling away, and it was going to be that of Rickard. He's going to be back, and going to be further back. He's going to be all the way in about 13th place, but he's got to work his way forward. A lot of traffic to get by, as, oh no, Trey Jackson to the outside wall, almost collecting the rest of the top 10, excuse me, right where Ricketts is. And oh boy, Jason Ricketts, I got to give credit to the one back in 11th place. He might be having a little bit of a woe, as well as Wade, but with the way that these tire strategies have worked out, it's been perfect for them as drivers in the back having their issues, wrecks and spins going around.
Oh man, Sam, you missed a little bit. The 12 of Medlin had the perfect jump on the restart, was outside of the 35 of Metcalf. That entire run, that entire 2-3 lap run before the caution, that was pretty amazing to see by that 12 being able to hold that outside and almost make the pass on the 35 there. If he had the inside line there, Sam, I really think that he would have overtaken that 35 of Metcalf. And right now, I know Jason's thinking in the back of his head that that 12 has got some strength, and he's showing it right now. But let's see if that 12 of Medlin can make that outside work even better, maybe make a pass over him.
Yeah, he's got a very good shot. It looks like this caution going to be once again Bill Dart and Ed of Hale making contact. These two have made plenty of interactions with one another, as just like this, it's out of the way. As for our poll, the drivers that thought that we were going to have less than 10 cautions, well, we're at 10. And now if you're in that bracket of 10 to 20, you've got a decent shot here of winning out on the predictions of how many cautions we were going to have. But what a mess for some of these drivers, especially when you're wrecking with the same guys over and over again, like we've been seeing Builds Art and Aaron Hale. It's just, it's got to get so obnoxious just working around the same guys. And you think, okay, he's wrecked, he's behind me, don't have to worry about him. And then just a couple of laps later, he's right there with you again.
Definitely, and that definitely can be very stressful for a driver, just having that in the back of your head where he's there almost every single time. And, you know, going back to this restart here, Sam, you know, we've seen so much strength. The 05 of Rickard trying to get back his spots that he's made up this entire race. The 35 having pressure of the 12 of Medlin on him. What are you expecting to see on this restart here?
Well, Medlin's going to be on the outside, and you saw the restart he had last time. I think for that at Metcalf, he hasn't been having the best restarts to pull away from the rest of the field, kind of hesitating to take off, which is giving a better shot for the drivers that are in second, stay side by side. I think Medlin, if he get a really good start and figure out how to rotate through the center on the outside, he's got a great shot coming out of turn number 2. Try to pressure for the lead coming into turn 3. But I think Medlin, he's the only driver that I could see currently in the top 12 that has a great shot to take the lead, as he's got the freshest tires. Besides back in 6th place, Ken Campbell, Derek Offerman, they're on the same strategy as the 12, but Andrew Medlin's just been the fastest driver all day long. He was the fastest during practice, fastest during qualifying. And for the first about 50, 60 laps, he was the fastest car out there up front until he had to make his pit stop, which it has been a grinding 47, about 48 laps for this 12 to get back up to 2nd place for a shot for the lead.
Yeah, definitely. And just looking back at some of the drivers right now that we don't really see way up front, the 18 of Paul House, you know, the 15 of Ken Campbell in 6th place right now, doing really well for himself. 84 of Mike Watts, all these drivers right now doing really impressive. So here we go, right back to green.
Green flag back in the air, and just like that, Medlin side by side, he's trying to set up the corner, center the corner, exactly where I was talking about. We get a good launch. You might be able to try to do a crossover move, but defensive positioning by Metcalf, not trying to give that low line at all, as they're still side by side for the lead.
Now this is where you can see the momentum come for the 12, having that straight a little bit longer for him since he's making a longer distance around the track on the outside. That's where you'd want to see him get the run on the outside and try to cross him over. Unfortunately, couldn't do it, and now he's going to be on the bumper of the 35. Let's see if he can make up some time and try to get that pass made, but also keep in mind the 88 of Timmy McNally's behind him. Same thing with the 87 or the 84 of Mike Watts, all still right behind him, still trying to get those positions back. But right now, I don't think that 35 is looking forward too much right now.
No, McNally, same tire strategy as that of Medlin. So Medlin's been a little bit too overzealous on these tires. Could be given a good shot, but there's the wrecked up modified as we're on the back bumper of Scott Rickard. And right now for Rickard, he's back in 8th position. He's moved up 4 or 5 spots since we went green again. And those pressure tires, he is making them work, as now he's making the pressure and the pass for 7th place.
See Christopher Wade right now running on board with him, trying to make that pass on the 9. He's rolling that outside right now, and you can see how he just doesn't get the roll through the center of the corner, but the exit speed is what's keeping him there. Unfortunately, it looks like he has some front end damage right now, and it's just the drivers on the inside right now that have the preferred line that are just making up all the time on him right now. It looks like that 53 of Wade right now is struggling, just cars constantly on his inside, and still there in his inside. I don't think there's many happy thoughts going right now inside that helmet of the 53 right now.
Yeah, I mean, for Chris Wade, the goal is just have a solid finish for himself. I mean, he came in today 12th in points. He had lost ground last week. He's a hard contact from the 9 to the 00, but in Hasty, they were willing to bounce and bang off of one another going down the front stretch, and it's going to be that of Travis Butt able to make that pass. But the biggest thing for Wade was he's on older tires. He was the last car of the drive. Oh no! Hasty into Butt, and he'll go spinning, and driver's got to whoa up, and more contact being made up into traffic. No one's stopping, and just slowly creeping into contact.
Oh, and he's
no,
going to back it up into the 13.
Oh my. Lack of communication. And poor Schwarr. Schwarr comes into today most incident points throughout all the races, and just add a couple of more on the 13's list that he has, and more damage to the 00. And the question of when do you use your fast repair starts to creep up in my mind, because I think right now might be one of the last shots that you have to come in, get 4 fresh tires, and have a shot to even challenge for the lead, because we might run out of time if you want to be up front and even having a shot.
Yeah, definitely. It's only 140 laps. We have 140 laps down, only about 60 to go. I think the 05 of Rickard's in the perfect spot now. He's running in 6th place right now, right behind the 18 of Paul House. He's pitted. He's taking his 4 tires. He's taking his gas. He can make it from here. The cars in front of him, though, I don't know if they're 100% for sure to the good to make it. And they have about 40 lap older tires than the 05 of Rickard. So right now, I think the money strategy right now is for that 05.
Yeah, but if everyone else pits behind him now, he's then going to be set in a tough spot. It's more of if the collective group that still need to pit for tires and fuel, if they've come in now, that of Metcalf, Medlin, they'd only be dropping back to possibly around a 10th, 11th place. Plenty of time to still cut their way through that traffic, but kind of has to be a collective group effort if they want to make that type of a move for all those drivers that are kind of in that question mark of if they can make it to the end.
Yeah, definitely, and you're right about that. If all the drivers in front of them and behind them come down and have those fresh sets of tires, then you'd be right. Yeah, the 05 of Rickard would not be in the money spot, but right now, Sam, it's more like a trend where 1 or 2 come down, and then 5 or 10 come down, and then it's just more and more drivers until the entire field comes down. I don't think I've seen every single driver come down into pit road at the same time so far during this race, but who knows, maybe some drivers are just saving that last set of tires and just waiting to get their gas all the way back up to where they know for sure they can make it. But right now, 60 to go. Do you see this 35 still having control of this lead for these next couple of restarts, Sam?
I mean, if this thing stays green and gets another great start, there's a chance that we might see Metcalf holding on to the lead. I think the biggest question is, when is Scott Rickard going to be able to cut his way through the field? Because right now, with over a 50-lap advantage over that of Metcalf and also of Watts and House, this should be a piece of cake to see the 05 cut his way through our top 5 drivers. And then we'll see what type of pressure that Medlin and McNally have, as they're going to be on a different 20-lap fresher tires than Metcalf has, but still about 35-lap older tires than what Rickard has. So different strategies, different drivers to watch out for, as drivers are stacked up, ready to go. Wade is probably my biggest surprise in 11th place. He's going to be trying to do his best. But for Nick Holland, he used his fast repair. The 68, he'll be back in 16th position. That's the driver to watch out in my eyes, with the freshest of tires just pit on this last caution. And it looks like we might hit another yellow. As pace car lights are on, we're not going this time by. We're going to reset, make sure everyone's in the right positions before we get going, which gives us time. We'll do a quick rundown of our top 15. As I'll do the first 8, you can do the last 7 there, Hunter. It's going to be that up front. Jason Metcalf with Andrew Medlin in 2nd place, with Timmy McNally, Mike Watts, as well as that is Scott Rickard, House, Campbell, and Derek Offerman, your top 8.
9th is going to go to the 44 of Bowling. 10th is going to go to Brian Chu. 11th, the 53 of Wade. 12 is going to go to the 4 of the Hale. And, Sam, I'm going to give it back to you. We're going green.
As the pace car rolls off, we're green once again. It was going to be that of Bill Dart, Travis Dart, and then John Dart, your other 3 drivers in our top 15. We'll see if the Darts can cut their way through this traffic again. It's going to be Nick Holland and Trey Jackson back at 16th and 17th. They've got the freshest rubber, but the eyes are going to be on up front. as Metcalf still holding on for the lead, but for the battle for fourth, Watts, he's under pressure from the 0-5. Here comes Rickard.
Yeah, Rickard looking really strong, got a really good run on the exit of 4. Now going to get in front and clear the 84 Watts. Now the 88's going to be in front of him. McNally's definitely going to be mirror driving for him right now. And same thing with the 35, still having the pressure of Andrew Medlin behind him. Multiple drivers hungry to make up spots right now.
Right now, still looking at some of the drivers just cutting their way through so many different strategies. Ken Campbell, who's back at 11, he's going to continue to drop back. But Paul House, he's going to be in pressure as well for Watts. Both those drivers, 84 laps of time they put on their tires, and that's a long time to be out there. But Paul House, he wants to get a little bit aggressive, try to be the driver in the top 5. Derek Offerman continues to watch, but Nick Holland, he got the fast repair. He was kind of doing a modified, no front clip, a lot of damage on the 68. That last caution, taking himself a fast repair, now up to 11th when he started back at 16.
Now keep an eye out here, Sam. The 05 already to the back bumper of the 88 of McNally. Really quicker times right now, about 0.2 a lap. It's looking like McNally at 21.2 that time, or 20.2, excuse me, and Scott Rickard at 20.0. Right now, much quicker than McNally, and it looks like the way he takes the corners is a little bit interesting. He washes up for center, but that helps his exit speed, and he gains that speed all back up on the straights.
Yeah, I mean, he's washing up, trying to get that better of an apex to carry that speed, and it's working out for him. Certainly right now, Medlin, I think for Medlin, he's recognizing Rickard's there. He's got the fresher rubber. I've got to make this pass now. As, oh no, the 0-5 into the outside wall, coming out of turn number 2. And that damage, we'll see if it hinders the 0-5. As we've seen other drivers, it doesn't hurt them too bad, but that certainly can ruin your rhythm. That could hurt you on the longer run. Hopefully the 0-5 can get into a better launch as the battle for the lead. Medlin's right at the bumper, and he's almost at the quarter panel.
This is where things can get dangerous. He's right there on his bumper. You don't want to see him get spun. Really patient for the 12 car. It's going to work really well. He's now on the inside. Can he make it stick through 1 and 2? It looks like 35 is going to put up a fight in the outside, but he's got so much better corner speed right on the 12. A little bit in front going into 3.
Here are what the tires are like for the 35. He's on 90 lap old tires. For the 12 and the 88, 71 lap old tires. And for the 05, he's only on 36 lap old tires. So he's got the fresher rubber. He's getting more grip, and he's now pressuring McNally for third place. Our front 4, they have gapped themselves from the rest of the field as Paul House, Derek Offerman, they're just clogging up the rest of the traffic. Yellow flag waves, though, middle of the field. Oh, it's our favorite drivers. It's Aaron Hale, and also Bill Dart. Looks like they're going to be having some more frisky moments, as actually it was Travis Butt and Hale that are going to be initiating this yellow.
Yeah, it looks like, now we see the leaders coming down. Looks like the 05 of Rickard is going to be taking the lead after this. Oh, and it looks like a lot of cars are coming down right now, Sam. It looks like almost the entire field. The 68 of Holland staying out. And the 05 of Rickard comes with him.
Yeah, I mean, he was back there. He was in 4th place. He had the track position. He does not want to be placed in a situation being so off from the rest of the field. He would have been about 40 laps older tires than those drivers are pitting now, so has to come in. And this could be, I believe, that of Rickard's final set of tires for himself. The rest of the field, they still have an extra set to work with, as that was your Freaky Fast Broadcasting replay of what exactly went down. As drivers that stayed out, though, 11. It's going to be Nick Holland, who just uses fast repair on that last restart. Travis Butt. Chris Wade somehow deciding to stay out. He's going to be on 62 lap old tires compared to everyone else that's 27 or fresher. Then you've got that of Trey Jackson in 4th, Travis Dart in 5th, Brett Somers in 6th, Patrick Hasty in 7th with John Dart, Eric Schwartz, and also Brandon Messick going to be in your top 10. And then you've got also in 11th place, that of Jason Rickett, who will be the final of our 11 drivers that did not pit. But of those that pitted, a little bit of shuffling going on, but Jason Metcalf going to be leading that group with Medlin, McNally, and Rickard, your top 15.
Yeah, and here's Sam. Now that we see the 05 pitting with, the leaders, the 3 cars that were in front of him, I mean, I expected. I thought Rickard was completely out of tires, but I guess not. You know, I would expect him to come down a pit road with him if he still had that set of tires only, because 37 laps would be a huge difference. But Rickard now with that right front damage, and now gonna have to make up time in front of the cars in front of him that they have the tire advantage over. This is definitely gonna be a very interesting restart here, Sam.
Yeah, I mean, it's really nice having the tire advantage over the drivers in front of you, but the track position is where these drivers are going to be a little bit lacking, as a little bit of miscommunication maybe here, as drivers trying to make sure they're in the right spots. It looks like it's telling that of Metcalf to pass all these drivers because of the black flag glitch that's going on. So Metcalf could be finding himself all the way up front in our top 5 with all the penalties that have been going down.
Yeah, that is very interesting there, Sam. And right now, the 12 of Medlin can be restarting in what looks like to be 12th, maybe 13th. Actually, no, about 8th place right now. iRacing was saying 13th last time by. Now it's 8th place right now for the 12 of Medlin. And Sam, the 68 of Holland now has the lead after having an interesting race earlier with no front end looking like a modified. But the 53 of Wade now in 3rd place, who's been struggling all day trying to make up that track position. He's now in a really impressive spot and maybe can fight for the win, but now all these hungry cars behind him who want to make up all those spots on those fresh tires, Sam. Do you expect to see some 3 wide, maybe even some very dive bomb moves here to make up some spots in a quick time here?
I mean, we've seen that of Rickard be willing to be aggressive at the 1.5 mile courses, try to gain time. Same with Medlin. But I don't know here at Martinsville if it's worth trying to force someone to go 3 wide, even though when we go green, it's going to be about 40 laps to go for these drivers. Pace car is off. And it's confusing on how these drivers are willing to be aggressive here. But I'm concerned for a lot of these front runners still. Up front, everyone's single filed for our first bout 4. Then it's side-by-side action from 5th on back.
Right now, Travis Butt trying to apply the pressure. The 68 of Holland, it's working pretty well. I mean, he's right up on his bumper trying to get that position back. Right now, I've also noticed that the 05 of Rickard almost forcing it 3 wide behind him, stuck behind the 13 of Schwartz. Medlin already on the bumper of the 209, trying to make up those spots quick.
Yeah, Medlin as well as Metcalf, their goal, work together, get through this traffic as soon as possible. Side by side, though, is going to be that of Somers and Dart that's clogging up and giving the shot for that as they are wrecking behind. Issues for the drivers, and oh boy, there's a lot of machines that have been caught up in a lot of these wrecks all night long. And oh man, looks like John Zart going to be involved. And looking at the field and where drivers are at, Scott Rickard, he is damaged and he was involved.
Oh no, yeah, the 05 of Rickard. Oh no. Very
Rickard,
unfortunate for the 05. And oh man.
yeah, I mean, he was feeling that pressure, seeing his competitors, and you're going to be seeing the wreck in front of him. That's John Dart, Schwartz, but Dart's going to come up, hard contact for 05, and then Ken Campbell gives a little bit of a tap on the rear end, and away there goes of Rickard, but he's going to be all the way back in 19th position. Oh, man. From up front, challenging for a win here to this is the risk that happens of when you're trying to go for tires and you're stuck in the middle of the pack. If someone else makes a mistake in front of you, the chances of you being collected are extremely high.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the unfortunate thing of strategy, where you have cars in front of you that are on older tires and you're running quicker lap times than them, and you're anxious about getting up in front of them and not losing time. And that's unfortunately where the accidents happen, like what happened with the 05 of Rickard. Fortunately enough for him, he will have a faster pair, but now all the time he's gained, he is now about 30 laps to do it, Sam. And right now I think the 12 of Medlin and the drivers behind him who have been fighting him off all day are really liking that in their mirror. But the 12 and the 35 still have multiple cars to get in front of that they know they've been quicker than all day. And, we might see it again, Sam. We might see another leader wreck out trying to get another spot.
Yeah, I mean, you also got drivers that are on much older tires. We got Brandon Missick in 14th. Also, that Jason Ricketts, who's going to be in 15th. Both those drivers, older tires, going to be mingled with the drivers that are on fresher rubber. So you got to hope that everyone stays patient and gives plenty of room. But we can say that up in the booth, but we know on track, it is all the gloves are off at this point as we are past the our first 3/4 of the race. It was all right. We got to see at least one long green flag run between our first and second caution for about 25 laps, and then it's been a lot of messy racing at times of similar drivers in the back that have been caught up in wrecks. But I gotta say, it's been a blast watching these guys up front, the different tire strategies on how they're going to work out. But for this final quarter of the race, gloves are off, Hunter, and pretty much anything goes at this point on, it seems like.
Definitely, and it's going to be really interesting to see the battle between the 12 and the 35 right now, what they're going to do. They know they're definitely the quickest cars on the track, but, the patience is what's so important right now, making these spots back up on the drivers that are in front of them, that are much older tires, trying to just keep their track position right now, hoping for those cautions. But the word caution is not what those two drivers want to see, and it's definitely going to be very interesting to see how the 12 and the 35 react to these cars in front of them and how they're going to make their way around them.
And we got Dennis Steele in the chat rooting for Brett Sommers to get the win, currently in 5th position. And for Brett, he is in a very treacherous spot as he's got hungry drivers behind him with fresher tires that are trying to get by him, as well as the driver to his outside, that of Travis Dart. As up front, top 5, it's going to be Nick Holland, who for about half of the race had no front clip, and now took his fast repair about 30 laps ago. Then he got that of Travis Butt, into his outside, the 00. Chris Wade, who's on extremely old tires and fuel, in 3rd position. Trey Jackson, Brett Sommers, your top 5. As it's race number 6 of the regular season for the Stars and Stripes Season 3 Xfinity Series, as Nick Holland gets them going. Everyone else a little jammed up, and certainly right now, front 2 trying to pull away.
Now all my eyes are on that 12 of Medlin now and the 35 of Jason, and right now he's just stuck behind the 17 of Brett Sommers. 2 cars in front of him, side by side. This is, like I mentioned earlier, just where the patience kicks in. You have so many openings to push it in spots you don't want to be in, but right now, the 12 being extra careful right now on the inside of the 31, making his way around, but, this is where accidents can happen. Almost the 31, almost coming down into the 12, but luckily he was avoided.
And they are going to continue to stay side by side, hard racing going on, but for that, Medlin, he's able to get side by side, now trying to get by with Brett Sommers with ease, now up to 4th. Driver to watch out for, Medlin. He's now up to 4th place. He'll now duck it low under Wade. Wade not able to defend anything. He did his best, though, as our front 2 of Holland as well as Butt. They are trying their best. They're about a second ahead of that of Medlin. But yellow waves, and we reset. More contact going to be made for some of these drivers. But a yellow flag waves for them, and I'm wondering where this yellow is.
Too, Sam.
I think I might have found it. I think it was the 13 of Schwarr once again getting himself out of control sideways and almost got collected in. Was going to be that of a Rickard once again, but also looks like there might have been an issue for Messick, but I'm going to look to see. But yeah, the 13 was the initial cause of the wreck. A little bit of a puff of smoke from the 4 and the 77. Hale and Bill Dart need to just get away from one another. They should not be close at all. They brought out 2 or 3 of these cautions here tonight. Another one onto the books, and we're now less than 30 laps to the end of this thing. Hunter, they're running out of time for some of these drivers. But for that of Medlin, he's in a prime spot because Metcalf's trapped back in 6th place.
Yes, in 5th and 6th place right now. Oh, Medlin actually up to third right now in front of Wade. But yeah, Metcalf, like you mentioned, now trapped behind sixth place behind Wade and Summers. Now 2 cars in front of him that he has away from Medlin. And that's definitely very stressful as a driver where your competition that you're trying to get around now is just pulling away in situations you don't want to be in. And that's definitely stressful for the 35 Metcalf. But he just has to know that you still got 25 more laps to do it. It's 2 cars in front of you that you fresh your tires then. You just gotta calm down and just stay patient like you've been all race. And the 35 will be just all right.
Hasty on the number, Patrick Hasty in the 9, running in 9th place currently. Good rebound for that team, and looking at some of the drivers that have done a great job moving forward from where they qualified. I mean, Brandon Messick, he got himself a little bit squirrely, but started in 30th position, up 14 spots to 16th. Another driver up a lot of positions. Trey Jackson started in 24th, up to 7th for himself. And also that of Chris Wade, we saw him fall back to 28th at one moment during this race. He's up to 4th, even though he's on a very different strategy than most. But if the cautions keep on coming out, hey, I mean, it matters about track position, not really about tire wear at the end of this thing if you keep on getting cautions.
Oh, definitely. And I know the 68 of Holland is loving to see every single one that's coming out so far. Just the more cautions, the less laps you actually have to drive where someone can make up on you. And on the other hand, where the 12 of Medlin doesn't want to see any more cautions, he knows he's quicker than the 2 cars in front of him with the tire advantage. And, you know, that's just the 2 separate stories. You're seeing the 68 not wanting to see these cautions, the 12, or the 68 wanting to see more cautions, the 12 not wanting to see more cautions right now. But, you know, with the 12 knowing that he can't see much more because only 23 laps to go at the line, let's see how aggressive he's going to be these next couple of restarts.
Give note to some of the drivers further back. Internet woes did happen to the 67 of Thomas Valles, but he was able to come back in the first 30 laps after his early issues. But a driver that I think might not be coming back from his, that Brian Messick is, I mean, Burchett, as we are green drivers racing all around side by side. The question is, though, Hunter, how fast will it take Medlin to get up front?
Way up, and he gives the 68 a shot, sends him up the track. Good recovery by the 68 there. I don't think that it was intended. And yeah, the Medlin goes over the radio and apologizes. But oh man, just misjudged it. Got way too much speed in that corner, or maybe just a little bit more than the other drivers, and got into the back of the 68. But that's now going to lose a ton of time because now the 00 Butt is now the inside of Medlin.
Medlin's already used the bumper. It might be Butt who has to use it this time. Brett Somers up to 4th place, but it's going to be Metcalf who's now up to 5th. It's still not over until it's over, but these drivers running out of time as we're inching closer to 20 laps to go. Nick Holland, he has got the biggest blow up he's got to do. Slow down the 12 if possible. Trying to get 2 wins in a row for that of Nick Holland. And for Medlin, he's trying to get his first win of the season.
And Medlin knows he has the tire advantage. He's already almost down to the back bumper of the 68 of Holland. You know, after losing almost a second and a half to getting into the back of the 68, he's just got to stay patient here. He's still got about 20 more laps to do it. Let's see if he can.
Getting a little bit out of control, almost getting into Metcalf, but Medlin, he's still there at the back bumper. It's all about patience, but yellow waves, contact in the back. It's going to be that of Jason Ricketts, who brings out this caution back in 26th position, and looks like it might have been a little bit of a solo spin, but drivers getting antsy. Less than 20 laps to go, and you're not looking for this type of accident to come out. You're going to be seeing some hard, close racing in front of the 1. It's going to be coming out of turn 4. It looks like he just gets on the throttle a little bit too soon and whips that back end around.
Yeah, and one thing I'm going to see on this restart here, Sam, the 00, but had the position over the 35 of Metcalf. I thought the Metcalf beat the 00 there and would have been on the inside of Medlin, which would have been on the preferred group behind the 68 of Holland, but unfortunately the 35 will be behind the 12 of Medlin. the two drivers competing that have the most speed right now, the two leaders that have been up front almost all day today. Oh man, this is gonna be a very hectic restart here, Sam.
Yeah, it is going to get chaotic. And now Nick Holland's got to make the choice. Where does he want to place himself? I mean, you got to choose to stay low, I would presume. Make sure that Butt's on your back bumper. You're not trying to give any advantage to Metcalf. But that outside lane, it is going to be hungry. And if somehow Medley can get a run through the corner, coming through 1 and 2, he could get a great launch, possibly make this pass. But this is probably the best opportunity for Metcalf because it resets them, groups everyone back up. And now a question to see how these drivers are going to go. 15 cautions here tonight. I don't want to throw any more stats out, but I kind of have to. Richmond, a couple of weeks back, gave us 16 cautions. That was the most so far this season. We knew that Martinsville was going to get close, possibly more, but I didn't expect it to be this close late in this race.
Definitely not, but I knew that the electricity would amp up with the laps closing down and drivers wanting to make up as many positions as they can, especially after the drivers that pitted, almost 20 drivers coming down to take tires and now having many cars in front of them that gain positions on like the 12 of Medlin, the 35 of Metcalf. That's just where the drivers want to make up those spots in such little time, and that's where the wrecks start happening.
Drivers we expected to have great runs, but have been kind of tossed to the side. Scott Rickard, he was going to be one of those drivers, 16th place, no front bumper, no clip. He still has not used a fast repair. Other drivers that have been up front showing speed, the 9, Vasey, he's back in 19th place. Brian Chu, he was up in the top 5, top 10 for a moment there, now back in 21st position, 13th. The 13 of Schwar, he'll be all the way back in 22nd. A lot of drivers further back that just, you thought maybe they were going to have better runs for themselves, but when it gets late in these races, just like how we saw at Charlotte, sometimes it's all about the placement in those final 15 laps. Nick Holland, he's got a shot to go back-to-back here at win at 1 at Charlotte last week. Now trying to win for his second time. Medlin, Travis Butt, Metcalf, Brett Summers, your top 5. Pace car is off. 14 laps to go. About to be 13. Green flag in the air. Nick Holland, can he hold off the drivers with fresher rubber as they're side by side for the lead? Coming out of 4, a little bit of contact made. Nick Holland, he's going to force Medley back. 3 wide. But gets a little squirrely. He holds on as they're still side by side for second place. That's exactly what Nick Holland needed. Put Butt in a better spot. Yellow waves.
Oh man,
no.
Double zero, incredible save, but yet again, it looks like the 12 of Medlin now is going to start third on this restart right behind the 68 of Holland, but man, that was a hectic restart.
Oh, the 20, Derek Offerman, I think his streak's done, and you are going to see some aggressive driving, and I think the 13, maybe he's used up too much of his brakes, maybe they're gone. But poor Derek Offerman just got plowed in the rear end by the 13 here. Oh, he's just gone. He's just never had a shot.
Yeah, heavy impact for the 20 of Offerman, and unfortunately, like you said, that's most likely going to end his streak with only around 10 laps to go on this restart. But yeah, nothing nothing he could really do in that wreck.
Credit to Derek Offerman, first 5 races of this season, finishing in the top 10, still in top 3 of points, but today is going to be a hit for that 20 machine. But like consistently finishing well up front early in a season, much rather have that because you know how to manage your points once we get closer to the end of the regular season. Drivers getting set up, 10 laps to go. I mean, it's kind of known that we're kind of expecting a green-white checkered scenario, and for us, we've got 2 attempts. If needed, if a caution comes out with 6 or 5 laps to go, we will then be put in a green-white checkered situation, overtime racing, where we'll have 2 attempts to try to finish this race out under green. But these drivers, certainly the pressure is on. Chris Wade, I mean, he's been out there 98 laps. When we go green, it's going to be over 100 laps on these tires and fuel. He figured out the strategy perfectly for this 53. We knew he was going to be up front later on, but he was just struggling to find that race pace early in this thing. But a little bit of fuel and tire and pit strategy comes along. He's the only driver so far that has pitted once, besides that of Brandon Messick. Both those drivers trying the dramatic ways of winning, well, not winning, but for themselves winning with a net gain here tonight.
And Sam, I'm just really intrigued to what's going to happen on this restart. The 12 of Medlin now behind the leader, the 68 of Holland, the 35 going to be on the outside of Medlin here. 00 of Butt, who was really aggressive on that restart, trying to get as many spots as he can. Man, this is going to be a hectic restart here, Sam. And I know I've said it multiple times, but I'm just excited.
Drivers trying to hope that they can finish this thing with less than 10 to go. Extended a couple of caution laps for these drivers, make sure everyone's in the right spots, and then we will get ourselves set up and ready to go. It's going to be Nick Holland, Travis Butt, Andrew Medlin, as well as Jason Metcalf, as Brett Summers, your top 5, Trey Jackson, Chris Wade, Travis Butt, Timmy McNally, and the 44 of Kyle Boyling, your top 10. Sky Rickard's been able to move his way up into 11th after he fell back to 19th after being involved in an accident 3 cautions ago. Mike Watts, who was up in the top 5 for quite a long time, he came into pit road, same as Rickard, as he's back in 12th position. Paul House going to be in 13th, Bill Dart 14th, Aaron Hale in 15th position. I got a total of 26 drivers on the lead lap. At one point, thought maybe we were going to have less than 15 because of the way this race was going. But oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Travis Butt, don't be blinking like that, you scare the outside row, but green flag out in the air, 6 laps to go. If a quick caution comes out, we're looking at some overtime racing.
Really good jump on the outside by the 00. A little bit more contact now with the 12 and the 00 again, but the 12 is going to get on the inside. 00 still really aggressive on the outside. It looks like he's going to overrun the corner a little bit, but that's not going to help the 12. He wants to get to that back bumper, the 68 of Holland. Holland's loving this in his mirror right now.
Cap thinking about possibly forcing it 3 wide, but thinks other of it, as that is a smart move on that 35 Machines call. But you got to feel that frustration that Metcalf, he felt like he had a chance to win this thing. Quick yellow, overtime, here we come. Ken Campbell spun around out of turn number 2, the 15 car. And this caution also will break the record of this season's cautions. 17th caution of the day. As middle of the field, drivers just getting a little bit too aggressive over one another, and wrecks certainly were going to come.
Yeah, very, very aggressive on that restart by the 00. Very incredible. Almost made the move on the 68 on the outside. He was rolling that top right now. And hopefully he's probably thinking that he can do it the same again on this restart. But right now the 12, definitely not the happiest right now. I know he's trying to make up those spots. He knows he's quicker than these 2 cars in front of him. And same thing with that 35.
Yeah, I mean, for that Medlin, he's feeling that. He's had 3 top 5 finishes, 3 top 10 finishes, and he's come second fiddle twice this season to winning a race, hoping to get his first win. Thought it would come here tonight. But I got to give that to Nick Holland. He has placed himself in the perfect position. We haven't really seen anyone in 2 laps be able to make the pass for the lead. You got to give credit to these drivers right now. That of Nick Holland, I think he's in prime position to win this race if he gets a solid takeoff and Travis Butt isn't to his outside for a whole lap.
Yeah, and like you've been talking about this entire race, Sam, how important track position is. Tires aren't the biggest thing. Yes, they're very, very helpful, but Holland has just been, I mean, he's led the past 50, 60 laps here, and he's had much older tires than the 2 cars, the couple cars behind him, and right now it's just he's been holding him off so much better than the cars who have a 30-lap fresher tires than him. I mean, like you said, he's just in the money spot right now, and I don't see that changing. I think the 68 of Holland is going to get this win on this restart.
Well, we have the potential of one more yellow before this race will conclude. I mean, we've already seen Medlin be willing to be aggressive, bump Travis Butt, try to get him out of sorts. Are you expecting similar things here for Medlin to try to get himself into second place?
Oh, definitely. I just think that he knows that you got 2 laps just to go for what you can, and Medlin, I think he's just gonna make any move that he can, and I believe that he's just gonna try his best to get back to the bumper of the 68.
Well, we're pacing around, making sure the back half of the field in the right positions they need to be, as this is going to be our first attempt at a green-white checkered attempt. You get 2 laps. If we get the white flag, this race will conclude, and they'll race it to the line. But if we do not get the white flag on this first attempt and a yellow waves before then, we will then go to our second and final attempt of the evening. On our second attempt, if needed, the yellow waves before we get the white flag, the race ends under yellow. But it is time for overtime racing. Nick Holland, Travis Butt, Andrew Medlin, Jason Metcalf, and Brett Summers, your top 5 as they go through 3 and 4. Out of turn 4. Green flag in the air. Nick Holland going to be taking us to turn number 1. And just like that, Holland going to be having to worry about a little bit of pressure, but Travis Butt, we saw him roll through the center well. Here he comes again here, Hunter.
There he comes again, like you said. Now he's side by side going into 1 and 2. They're going to take the white flag here. If they take the white flag, the race will end right here on this, with this 2 laps to go right now. White flag is out. 1 more lap to go right now. Medlin's still right up on the bumper of the 68. Oh, the double zero goes around.
He spins now, but he's got a shot. He's gonna have to send it into turn number 3. But here comes the 12, Andrew Medlin. Will he get close enough to the bumper? He's right at the quarter panel, but no. Nick Holland back to back. He won at Charlotte, and here at Martinsville across the line, the 68 gets it done. Metcalf falls to 3rd place, but oh no, but comes across the line, and he is just losing position after position. From 2nd back to 21st currently, but he might fall even further than that. Oh boy.
Have you ever?
I've never.
that was I would have never expected that there, Sam. Wow, holy cow. And we got the 66 coming across the line in reverse. Oh, and the 68 runs into the 209 doing his burnout. Oh, man, that was a crazy race. Oh, and we got the 05 on his hood in turn 1. We got a crazy race right now, Sam.
Yeah, I mean, Scott Rickard, he's frustrated. Going to be having 8th place finish for himself, but able to recover for top 10 to finish. We only need 1 attempt, and it goes to the 68. Nick Holland gets his 2nd win of the season, the 2nd driver with multiple wins. It now ties himself with Scott Rickard with the most wins so far this season, and this has got to be such a good feeling for the 68 team that just continues to get better and better each week. Well, we got our top 3. We'll be talking to them. Nick Holland, Andrew Medlin, Jason Metcalf, and just a few. Sparks were flying all night long here in the Stars and Stripes race number 6. We just needed one attempt at overtime, and Nick Holland gets his second win of the season. As we'll be talking to our other drivers as well. In third place, Jason Metcalf, able to sneak his way, and honestly, one of the drivers we thought had a chance to win this thing. Jason, it's Sam up in the booth. You got me?
I got you, Sam. How are you?
Well, another short track, another solid finish, another top 3 for yourself. What is it about these short tracks that you just figured out for yourself?
This track here is one of my favorite tracks to run. I love this track, and I'm very comfortable here. So it's, I knew coming here, I knew I'd have a good shot at a good top 10, maybe top 3, and I was able to pull it off, which was really, really good. It was like a really good race.
Jason, we also saw, you had the speed to be up there challenging with Medlin, and just wondering for yourself, what was the process when you figured out, okay, we need to come into pit road because all the other top guys are coming in now?
Well, I was debating for the longest time if I was going to come in for that last set of tires or stay out, and I was thinking about it forever. And then finally, when I saw one of the, I think it was Rickard in front of me go in, I figured, okay, I'll go in, and I know I got the tires to get my way back up to the top, and then all the cautions helped me out, and I'm glad I made the move I did, because I wouldn't have been up where I was when I finished if I didn't pit like I did. I needed those tires to enable to make that run that I had.
Well, it's final 14 laps. I know we had a couple of cautions trickling in there. What was going through your mind when you were sitting in 5th, 4th position? You knew you had to pass just a few more drivers to be up front.
I was just praying for a long run. I needed a long run to set my moves up and get especially starting on the outside. When you start on the outside of this track, it's very hard. So that last restart, I timed it when whoever finished second, I think Medlin, I dropped in behind him to make the run for the 3rd spot. But I wanted a long green flag run there, because I knew my tires were a bit better too. So it worked out in my favor.
Well, Jason, another solid run here. This is going to be helping you a ton to keep on moving forward in the points. And here tonight, great, another 3rd place finish, short track racing. And now the floor is yours for any shout outs.
Just again, shout out to Nate for putting this lead together, and my lovely wife for letting me race when I do.
That's going to be Jason coming out with a 3rd place finish. Congratulations and good luck next week.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
2nd place, second fiddle again. Andrew just cannot get a break for a win. It's Andrew Medlin up in the booth. Andrew, it's Sam. 2nd fiddle again. It just seems like you're knocking on the door to get your first win this season.
Yes. Second, first out of all the losers again. This one honestly is a little frustrating. I had a fast car, and it was a very long and frustrating race. It came down to track position at the end. I mean, Nick Holland played it really well on that last lap. I could have drove it in hard, but I already got into him once about 20 before the end, and didn't think rattling his cage on the last turn was the appropriate thing to do. So happy with P2. It was we had a fast car all night, and we'll take it on to Pocono next week.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of Pocono, how are you feeling about that track or any of the upcoming tracks? Got Pocono and Dover coming up, the next 2 courses. Are any of those kind of another favorite of yours where you feel like you're going to have a lot of speed?
Never raced Pocono, so we'll find out. And Dover I tend to enjoy, but Martinsville's one of my favorite tracks. So I had high hopes. Again, I'm happy with P2, but I was really hoping to irk out my first win of the season here. But we'll take it, and looking forward to the rest of the season here.
Andrew, you really were the fastest car, and making the decisions to come into pit road, how hard was it trying to give up that track position, knowing you were going to get fresh rubber that would probably help you cut your way through the traffic again?
Really, originally at the beginning of the race, ran really solid the first 50 laps, as you saw, was kind of leaving the field behind. And I was honestly planning on waiting until a caution around lap 100. I was going to make it a one-stop race, and maybe that was why I finished P2, because I got nervous. Some of the leaders came in on lap 66. I decided to come in on lap 80, put me back there. Luckily, I avoided a couple wrecks, but now I'm thinking woulda, shoulda, coulda. I probably should have stayed out and tried to do it in one, because, the fall off, the lap time fall off was not tremendous. Tire wear wasn't too bad, so it really came down to track position. And obviously the pit road strategy paid off for the 68.
Yeah, it worked out somehow for him. We were surprised he couldn't get it done, but track position and going into overtime can certainly help someone out. Andrew, here tonight, the floor is yours for any shout outs.
Appreciate the call tonight. Got to thank my wife Sarah, my dad Bruce, and Aaron. They usually watch every week. My nephews Owen and Ethan. Give a shout out to my team, Wolfpack Racing. My Tampa Bay Lightning, who won the Stanley Cup last week. Got to see a bucket list item there. Watch the home team hoist the cup. That was a lot of fun. And Raised Energy Drinks, and really the admins. Race Control had their hands full tonight between just all the mishaps happening on the track, plus some iRacing glitches that we were having to manage through. So it wasn't the smoothest of races, but we kept it together and came home with a good finish. And looking forward to Pocono next week.
Andrew Medlin, another solid day. We know that win is just around the corner for this team. And Andrew, good luck next week.
Appreciate the call, guys. Have a good week. Take care.
The guy gets to win back-to-back, and up in the booth, it's going to be that of Nick Holland. Nick, you did it again. Late in the race, you show up and get the win. As we'll get the call again. Nick, you there?
Yeah, I got you. It cut out there. Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's all good. You got the win here tonight. Kind of similar to how last week went, where you kind of showed up late and just had the track position to hold off the rest of the field.
Yeah, I'm starting to learn that I'm very good at being in the way. I'm good at keeping cars behind me, but yeah, that was a wild race. Not the finish I expected, but very, very happy with the result. Yeah, it was crazy at the end. So those last 50 laps or so, every restart was crazy.
Yeah, and Andrew came over during the interview. He even said he already rattled your cage. He was thinking about hitting you again, but just I already did it before. Were you surprised that you weren't getting beat up as much in that final restart when you did?
No, not really. I knew Andrew's he's a clean driver and he's a classy guy, so I know he wasn't gonna just wreck me just for the win. I mean, it's a long season too, so just points and all that as well is a big plus. But yeah, I didn't expect too much, but maybe from the outside. But it seemed like Travis had some issues up on the outside on that final lap.
Yeah, I had just got on the brakes and binders a little bit too hard, find himself spinning around. But for you, Nick, this is now 2 wins, tied with the most wins with Scott. How does this feel early in the season? This is only race 6 to have 2 wins to start out the season. And how do you feel like you're going to be able to carry this momentum moving forward?
Well, it's been a roller coaster of a season, but I'm hoping this is the new normal. It definitely started pretty rough, but now it seems like it's kind of smoothing out, and hopefully I can just keep running up front and give myself a chance every week.
Well, Nick, congratulations again on another win, and the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
Yeah, gonna give it tonight. Race Control deserves a shout out because it was a mess. But yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to you guys. The broadcasts are just superb, and Nate and everybody that puts the league on. And then I think I might have a good luck charm with being in an Xbox party, because got a couple buddies that are sitting there watching the race the whole time. But yeah, overall a good night for sure.
I gotta find those lucky charms when you can. Nick Holland winning here at Martinsville, and good luck, Nick, next week at Pocono.
Thank you.
Well, Hunter, as we are going to take a look at our final results, it kind of turned into a mess. These are going to be the unofficial results because the league are going to go through this. But up front, we know who got the win. It's Nick Holland. Second place is going to be Andrew Medlin, with that of Jason Metcalf going to get third. Brett Sommers in fourth place. Fifth is going to go to Trey Jackson. Sixth place, somehow, we saw that with Nick Holland. Track position worked out, but it even worked out even better. That of Chris Wade, able to finish in 6th place when the last time he pitted was back in 97th lap of this race. Incredible run for the 53 team. Travis Dart as well, a great showing for the 209 in 7th. Scott Rickard, who was expected to win this race or be in challenger, late caution, got collected up in that, but was able to recover up to 8th place. Paul House in 9th, Kevin Boyle in 10th, and some other notable drivers. Derek Offerman, his streak of top 10 finishes comes to a close after being caught up in a wreck, and some other strong finishers throughout the season. Aaron Hale, he had a lot of troubles with Bill Dart finishing up with him 20th and 21st position for both those drivers. But this is just what a mess it was. But just like how the drivers did, I'm going to do it the same. Props to the race admins here tonight. Race control had a handful with the way things were going with the race, and with it being Martinsville, they did a great job. But Hunter, what are some of your thoughts, final thoughts here tonight?
That was definitely one of the craziest finishes I've ever had to call here, Sam. I know I haven't been calling for very long, but that was definitely a very interesting finish with the 0-0 locking it up and wrecking in 2nd place there and falling all the way back at the end of that race. That was very unfortunate for him. You know, a lot of hard racing today. Unfortunately, we got the bad end of the rope there and got a ton of cautions and multiple wrecks and drivers just unfortunately not being in the position they don't want to be in, or being in the position they don't want to be in. And unfortunately, that's just what happens at Martinsville a lot of the time. And, you know, usually, you know, some races are really good and some races are junk fests, but, you know, overall that was a good race today. And I'd also like to give good props out to the race admins today for going through all the troubles and the glitches through the iRacing system right now.
Well, we're hoping for the update coming in on Monday or Tuesday. That should clear things up. But for here tonight, Nick Holland, he did the strategy call, got the track position, and like he said, he's learning up how to hold off people and kind of being in the way. But hey, if you're winning, being in the way is all right to be. As here tonight, we had to go into overtime. Nick Holland gets the win, but we get to go to Pocono next week. That is going to be another interesting, the tricky triangle, more braking zones. The draft's going to be a factor for these drivers on how well you can work with some of your teammates. But here tonight, for Hunter Hayward, myself, Sam Dyer, and also in the production chair, Robert Moyer. Robert, the final call is yours, but what a wild night it was.
That is true, Sam, man. That is true, Sam. I mean, you see this stuff here at Martinsville. It can be a cluster and it can be a fun race. And I give this an 80% race. I mean, honestly, the guys did a really, really good job at a tough track here at Martinsville. So bravos to them for putting in the time and the effort to make sure that this was clean as possible as they can. And I want to second what you said there, Sam, you know, with the race control. I've been a race control guy, and I'm sure his brain is fried right now trying to keep up with everything and trying to put in the honor system and all that stuff, but these guys did one well of a job. Congratulations to Nick again for bringing home the victory. It's back-to-back. Like you said, we head to the tricky triangle next week. Let's see if he can make it 3 in a row. We'll find out. So make sure to find out, everybody. You hit that subscribe button out there. And so you don't miss any of the action next Thursday as we head to Pocono, my home track, only 3 hours away from my house. Been up there, rode the track, and went around that track at 180 miles per hour. So I'm telling you, it's an adrenaline rush up there. So we'll see if people can navigate around that track. Our next broadcast televised will be this coming Saturday at 8:50, as it will be maybe Lee Tidwell in the booth. Not sure if he's going to be able to make it or not, but it'll definitely be Sam and me calling all the action at 8:50 Eastern with NAISCC Cup Series as they head off to Las Vegas. We're going to be out west there a little bit, so we're going to have some fun out there at the casinos maybe before we see the race, but hopefully everybody joins us Saturday night at 8:50 like I said. If not, have a great Friday, have a great weekend, and we will catch you next Thursday. But until then, we're going to say God bless everybody. We love you all. Peace out.